The underground circuit has one law above all others. An oath sworn at the iron table is iron forever. In 3 years, Rena Call has never broken one. She works the back rooms of the Ashevale district, where the lights are low and the only currency that matters is your word. They call her the Iron Pedal, not for softness, but for the iron flower brand on her left wrist, earned the night she held a table against 6 armed men who wanted the houses cut and walked out with every coin intact and not a single oath bent. She deals cards with the same stillness she does everything else. No wasted motion, no raised voice, no tells. 3 years of flawless tallies. 3 years of the house oath kept to the letter. In the Ashevale circuit, where reputations bleed and die across a single bad table, her name means one thing. Whatever she says, it's true. Solon Drath, the Ashevale boss, calls her into his back office on a Thursday night. He slides a ledger across the desk and tells her she rigged the Vale table last month. $200,000 in forged losses. Her signature, apparently, is on the record. She looks at the ledger. Her handwriting is perfect. Her signature is not. She says so, plainly, without heat. Drath says the circuit's iron code is clear. Rigging is an oath-breaking offense. The circuit council has already voted. Her dealer license is stripped effective tonight. Her earnings, 3 years of them, are seized as partial reparation. The remaining fabricated debt, $400,000, is sold to Circuit Lord Mace Karen. She will work Karen's slave tables until it's paid off. She asks Drath why. He leans back and says nothing. He doesn't need to explain. The Vale table had a big winner that night. A man Drath was supposed to have lost to on purpose, in a deal with a rival district. The winner walked away too rich. Someone had to take the fall for the payout going wrong. Rena's name was the cleanest one to borrow. The oath-broken brand is pressed to the back of her right hand in front of the council the following morning. She does not flinch. She does not speak. She watches Drath the whole time with the same flat, unhurried focus she gives every table. By nightfall, she is at Karen's lowest floor. Karen's operation runs out of a converted warehouse in the Ash South district. Concrete floors, bare bulbs, tables that haven't been leveled since they were bolted down. The slave table workers deal rounds for no cut, no clock out, and no end date on the debt. Karen's chief floor manager, a man named Breck, gives her a gray dealer's jacket 2 sizes too big and a seat at table 9. He tells her if she complains, he adds a week. She puts on the jacket, sits down, and deals. She does not complain. The first night, something happens that she does not immediately understand. A player at her table, a dock worker, losing badly, pushes his last chip forward and asks if she can hold the game for 10 minutes while he gets more money from his coat. House rules say no, but she says yes, and means it, and waits. The player comes back. The game runs clean. Somewhere at the edge of her perception, something opens. She doesn't look around. She keeps dealing, but the room has changed. Iron read is not a skill she can turn off. It reads the table the way she always has. The blink before a bluff, the stillness before a fold, but sharper now, layered, alive. The dock worker's relief is genuine. Breck's irritation from across the room is habitual, not dangerous. The 2 men at table 7 are partners running a soft count against the house. She files it. She does not report the soft count to Breck. That is not her oath to keep. But on night 3, when a young woman at her table is about to be pressured into a debt she clearly doesn't understand, Rena explains the terms to her plainly, without flourish, and the woman walks out with her money. Oath kept. Honest dealing, no pressure, no manipulation at her table. She settles into the rhythm of it. The weeks pass. Rena works table 9 every night and says almost nothing to anyone. Iron Reed builds its picture quietly. Karen walks the floor twice a week, and each time she watches him, the system maps what it finds. The ledger transfers he authorizes after closing, the debts re-stamped with extra zeros for workers who have no way to verify them, the private deal with Drath's courier that routes a 10% skim from Ashevale's main room straight into Karen's accounts. She does not write it down. She doesn't need to. The iron ledger holds everything. The floor workers notice her, not for anything she says, for the way she sits. The wrong jacket, the lowest table, the oath-broken brand on her hand, and she looks like she's the one running the room. One of the older dealers, a woman named Set, asks her one night what she's waiting for. Rena says, 100. Set does not ask what that means. The weeks compound. Iron Reed is never idle. It reads the floor the way a ledger reads a column, completely, without favor. She learns that the warehouse's 2 floor managers have a running side debt they charge to the house supply budget. She learns that the circuit's registered neutral auditor, the man who is supposed to verify every slave table worker's debt balance every quarter, has not set foot in this building in 14 months, and simply signs whatever Karen's office sends him. She learns the names of 11 other oath-broken workers on Karen's floor. All of them, Iron Reed tells her, carrying debts that don't match any legitimate loss in the circuit's history. Forged, every one. The same pen, the same template, the same hand that signed hers. She keeps her oaths. The table stays clean. The count climbs. By the 60th oath, she has a complete map of every corrupt channel in the Ashevale circuit. Drath's manufacturing of false oath-broken records for inconvenient dealers. Karen's debt inflation scheme across 42 workers. The silent partnership the 2 of them have held for 7 years, splitting the circuit's skimmed earnings. Thousands of people owe money they were never meant to be able to repay. Dozens of names are branded oath-broken on records that were forged the same way hers was. She keeps dealing. She keeps her oaths. The ledger climbs. On the night she hits 90, Karen brings a new group of investors through the floor and points at table 9. He tells them the slave table program generates 40% margins because the workers cost nothing and their debt never zeros. He says it like she isn't sitting 3 meters away. She watches his mouth move and reads everything underneath it. The pride, the certainty, the complete absence of the possibility that any of this could end. She deals the next hand. On a Tuesday, a regular at her table, a retired freight driver named Aldos who comes in to play small games and always tips the water runner, has a bad night. He is about to leave short on his tab, embarrassed. Rena covers the shortfall from her own pocket. The first coins she has held in 2 months, kept from a tip a player pressed into her hand before she could refuse. She meets his eyes and tells him it's paid, and he owes nothing to the house. The feeling that moves through her is not excitement. It is the quiet recognition of a door that has been there all along, finally standing open. She finishes the hand. She stacks the deck. She stands up from table 9 for the first time in 11 weeks and walks to Breck's station near the door. She tells him she wants an iron table session. Main floor, open circuit, tomorrow night. Breck tells her slave table workers don't call iron table sessions. She tells him to pass the message to Karen. She tells him to pass the same message to Solon Drath. Breck looks at her for a long moment. He reads something in her face that he can't name. He picks up his phone. The next evening, the main floor of Karen's warehouse is standing room only. The iron table is a real one, a slab of black steel bolted to the floor, used only for circuit disputes, debt resolutions, and honor oaths. Karen sits on one side, flanked by 2 men. Drath arrives 20 minutes late and takes the chair across from him, the way old allies do when they want to look like strangers. Rena walks in wearing the gray dealer's jacket and sits at the head of the table. The room goes quiet in the way rooms go quiet when something is about to be decided. Drath speaks first. He says she has no standing at this table. She is oath-broken. She cannot call a session, cannot make a claim, cannot speak in the circuit's name. He glances at the circuit elder seated along the side wall, then back at her, and the glance says, "Handle this. Dismiss her. We all know how this goes." He says it with the calm of a man who has run this room for 15 years and knows how its rules fall. A man who has never once sat down at a table and found the floor gone beneath it. Karen doesn't speak. He watches her across the table with the expression of someone who has spent 11 weeks trying to decide whether she is strange or stupid and still hasn't landed on an answer. Rena looks at Drath with the same unhurried attention she has given every table for 11 weeks. She says, "I swear on the Iron Code that every debt fabricated under false oath-broken declarations in this circuit will be repaid to its source tonight, and every oath broken by the parties at this table will be returned to them sealed." The words are quiet. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't break eye contact. The room does not shake. There is no light, no sound, No theatrical announcement. What happens is simpler and more complete than any of that. Every account Drath holds in the Ashvale circuit, zeros. Every account Karen holds zeros. The skim fund, 11 years of accumulated earnings from workers who could never repay debts they were never meant to repay, transfers in full to the parties it was taken from. The 42 debt accounts under Karen's slave table program dissolve. The fabricated oath-broken records in the circuit's registry, including Rena's, are overwritten with ledger corrected, in iron black text. 47 phones in the room buzz at once, as the circuit's shared ledger updates. Drath stares at his phone, then at his hands, the particular stillness of a man who has just understood something irreversible. Karen pushes back from the table and tries to stand. His legs don't cooperate. He sits back down. He looks at Rena and says, what can she do to fix it? He says it like a question, and it comes out like a plea. She tells him the iron code doesn't have an undo function. She tells him she checked. Drath says something, half a sentence, and stops. He looks around the room. Every face he has counted on for 15 years is looking at their phone, or at Rena, or at the floor, not at him. He sets his hands on the iron table, flat, and lowers his head. Karen follows, slowly, like a man learning a posture he has never practiced. Neither of them speaks again. The room is still for a long moment. Then Set, standing near the back, starts a slow count at 20. The circuit's formal acknowledgement for an iron session closed in full. The rest of the floor joins in. The count runs to 1. Silence. An elder from the circuit's oversight board, a woman named Tal Voss, who has presided over 3 oath-broken hearings in the last decade, walks to the head of the table and reads from the Iron Code's founding clause. When a false oath broken is exposed, and the ledger corrects it, the bearer of the correction holds sovereign standing for life, uncontested. The clause was written into the code at the circuit's founding, 81 years ago. It has never been invoked. She looks at Rena and says, Iron Ledger Sovereign, first in the circuit's recorded history. Rena stands. She straightens the oversized gray jacket. She picks up the deck of cards she brought from table 9. She doesn't know why she brought them, only that it felt right, and sets it flat on the iron table. She walks out through the main door. Behind her, the floor stays silent for a long time. Nobody moves to help Drath or Karen. Nobody speaks to them. They sit at the iron table with nothing in their accounts and nowhere to go, in a room where every person present watched the ledger correct itself and wait for something that isn't coming. The night air in the Ash South district is cool and smells like rain on concrete. Rena walks without hurrying. The Iron Flower brand on her left wrist catches the streetlight for a moment. The original one, the earned one, not the false mark Drath pressed into her right hand. She doesn't look back.